Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Sip. I'm your host, Sean Drinks. My next drink is, to most probably a unicorn, is a Willet Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, aged 8 years. And it looks like it's kind of in a little bit of a wine bottle. Kind of crazy, but this shit is phenomenal. If you can find a bottle, you need to get some, ladies and gentlemen. So my next guest is TikTok's go-to for extremely unsettling facts, true crime, scary stories, and he wants to be more famous than Rihanna. Koda The Dreamer, ladies and gentlemen.
These are some extremely unsettling. These are some of the scariest last words. These are some normal-looking photos of Alcatraz Island. Today I'm going to tell you guys about a new drama that's been... I have a major update on the serial killer who is on the loose. The Manson family. I have an update on the... These are some extremely unsettling facts. I'm planning on doing something insane. Famous birthdays. These are some extremely unsettling facts. And I found all these on Reddit. Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. That was an amazing intro.
Well, I had to give you an amazing intro, so...
I appreciate that.
So what is the story behind you wanting to be more famous than Rihanna?
So we're actually born in the exact same place. And that, to me, if she never existed... right now on famous birthdays, I would be number one, right? But unfortunately, the person that's in first place happens to be one of the biggest superstars on the planet. So that makes it hard for me. So I just thought it'd be funny and it'd be kind of like a cool thing for me, like my audience, to kind of get behind.
Yeah.
So I was like, literally just got the idea out of the blue random one day, and I made like all these like propaganda posters and everything, and then I made a bunch of my followers change their profile picture. And then I had them all upvote me on famous birthday so we could try to get past her. And then I need to get back on it because we went from 107,000, like highest ranked, to 6,000 in a day. So we like went up a ridiculous amount of spots like in one day. I think I'm at like 9,000 right now, but that's still the goal. We still need to get that done.
I got you.
That will never change. I'm gonna get it done one of these days.
So if you do hit that milestone, then what?
I haven't got that far yet. That's kind of this plan kind of has like only like a few steps so far. We're still working on it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so like I was saying, you're pretty much like the go-to for, like, at least in my eyes. I'm sure a lot of people, other people's eyes as well. I mean, you have close to 3 million followers on TikTok. I'm not too sure exactly how many followers you have on Instagram, but I think you're a little bit more prevalent on TikTok, if I'm not mistaken. But So what was the inspiration behind doing these extremely unsettling facts and talking about true crime stories and scary stories?
Honestly, it's something that I've been doing like my entire life. I've always been interested in that sort of thing, and then I kind of got started with TikTok. I think it was 2019. And I wasn't really taking it serious. And then the whole pandemic kind of happened. And then when that started, I was just in the house. So I was like, okay, let me just see how far I could take this. So I posted 6 times a day. And then,
damn.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I did that for probably 4 or 5 months. I did that. And then I kind of went up from, I had like 3,000 followers and I got up to like 80K. And then it kind of just kept like steamrolling from there. And then I got to a point where, because I was doing like random facts and stuff like that, so it would just be like animals that you're glad don't exist anymore. Like, have you ever heard of what a Gigantopithecus is?
Yeah, it's like kind of like King Kong, I think.
Yeah, it's literally if Bigfoot was real. Like was just like a behemoth, but he was kind of cool looking. But like if he was like you don't want to see him like walking around in the jungle. Like if you're just out there, that would be like your last thing you'd want.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like that and like a Titanoboa and all that. But anyway, it was like, so I did videos on like stuff like that and just random stuff that were all kind of fact related and people seemed to rock with them. And then past that, I kind of just went to after that I started telling like scarier stories, and then those scary stories evolved into unsettling facts, and then I kind of just randomly tried the true crime thing, after, because I took a year off in 2021. I posted like 3 videos that whole year, and that was it. And I was at like 2 million at that point, and then I started again this year, and then I got to 2.7 now. But it's because this year I just started talking about like true crime cases, which I love. Like I love like the documentaries and stuff like that. And it's a little free. It's like a weird. It's definitely a weird hobby to have, but at the same time, it's like it does intrigue me. So I kind of just like started talking about that, and then it honestly brought me a whole separate audience. So I still had like the past audience I have that have been here from like the jump, and then I got like a newer audience that's like, oh wow, you killed someone? Well, how'd that happen? And then it kind of goes from there.
You know what's interesting is like, I feel like I don't know what it is about females, but they fucking love true crime.
I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know why. I don't know why. Because that was one thing I noticed too, because before my audience was like, it was literally like a 90% male and 10% female beforehand. And then I started doing the true crime videos, and now I'm pretty sure it's at like, it's like 55-45 now, still male, but like that's like a 35% increase in my female audience since I started doing that. And I don't know, I just kind of noticed that. And like it's interesting. Like when I was growing up, my mom would just be watching like, you know that show Snapped?
I feel like I've heard of it.
It's like it's literally just like a show where like it's like it starts out talking about like a happy couple, and then one of them snaps, haha, and just kills their spouse or someone that they love. And these are like true stories that happen. And this woman will be watching this show religiously, and I'm like, what? I was like, how is this fun? Like we'll be eating, and it's talking about like he cut off his head, threw it in the lake, blew up the lake, and then moved to Georgia. And I'm like, and they'll show like pictures and stuff. I'm like, dog, I'm trying to eat my SpaghettiOs right now. And this is what's on the screen. I'm like, and she'll just be chomping away, no problem. I don't know. You're definitely right about that. And I'm sure there's some reason behind it, but I still don't know why.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I've heard people talk about it all the time, and I'm just like, I have no idea. So it's like, so my fiance was the one that introduced me to your page, and she just like, she loves Halloween. She loves the idea of everything, but like she would be the last person that you would find in like a haunted house. It's just
I get that. I get it. Yeah, it makes sense.
So she finds your content calming to a point. So like, do you think she's a psychopath that because she finds your stuff calming? Say it.
Well, I'll say no, just because I've been told before that a big reason as to why I have a large part of my audience is the way I tell my stories, because of my voice in a lot of cases. So maybe like, no, I can't even use that as an excuse, because like I'm still talking about some wild stuff.
Yeah.
So she might be like just like a smidge, just like a little bit of a psychopath, just a little bit. Because like if I was like telling the stories from like, if I was just telling like bedtime stories with my voice or whatever, it's like, oh, that's calming. Yeah, that's calming. But when I'm sitting here and I'm like, and then he got shot in the face, that's not that's not as calming to me. I don't know. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
But hey, I appreciate it. Keep watching.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take the numbers.
Yeah, no doubt. So you said that you were pretty interested in documentaries. So this isn't necessarily a documentary, but, and I put this in quotes, it's based on a true story, just like every fucking thing else is nowadays. But so I just got done watching today. The Watcher on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of that or if you've whatever, but so I didn't know if you had heard about it. So it's about this couple that moves into a house in New Jersey, and essentially they get these letters in the mail, and it's like very creepy letters like, hey, I've been donned the task of watching the house and watching you, and my grandfather and father have watched the house for nearly 100 years and stuff like that, and it's creepy.
So familiar.
It's creepy. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if you had heard about that.
No, it sounds so familiar.
So have you seen the new Jeffrey Dahmer TV show, not the documentary?
Yeah.
You
I've
seen
seen
it?
both. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a fan. I liked it. It was cool. I thought it was portrayed very well. They didn't do they did a good job of, because a lot of like shows like that, when you get like a serial killer, they try to make him like, they try to make you feel for him, and they did it but not too much, which I like, because Jeffrey's like case itself, yeah, he had a rough upbringing and stuff like that, but there's 3 serial killers that I have zero remorse for, and Jeffrey's one of them, and Richard Ramirez is another one, and then well, as of right now, the Stockton killer, but they spoiler alert for my video that I have to post today, he got caught like yesterday. So
Oh shit.
yeah, they're pretty sure that it's him, because obviously they're not going to know too much, but like, he got caught, he was wearing all black, he had the black mask, and he had a firearm on him that matched the same weapons that was being used in the previous crimes. So we're pretty sure. But yeah, those ones I have no remorse for as of right now, but they did a good job of still displaying him as a character. The dude who played him was phenomenal. Was he? Have you watched the X-Men movies?
Yeah, he was Quicksilver.
He was Quicksilver. Right? Okay, yeah, okay. Because the whole time I was thinking it was him. So hey, that's even cooler, because Quicksilver had the coolest scene, one of the coolest superhero scenes I've ever seen in my life. When you like first meet him, it's like the slow motion thing. It's like Sweet Dreams playing in the background. Come on, that's a classic. But yeah, so I think they did a really good job kind of portraying that whole thing, and not humanizing him too much, because he was not. I don't know how to word it. He wasn't like the rest of us in a lot of ways. He was a twisted dude, and I feel like they portrayed it the perfect way. And then the ending, when he got killed in prison. You said you finished it, right?
Yeah. I finished.
Okay, yeah. When they got killed in prison in the end, it's like it was satisfying, but it wasn't, because it's exactly what he wanted, and he was egging it on. It led to it, and it's like that whole case itself it's one of the ones where it's rare where I have a case where I talk about and it's hard for me to actually talk about. The Jeffrey Dahmer's case is one that it's hard for me to ever like go through it fully, and I don't think I ever have, to be completely honest. There's only there's specific instances I try to not talk about, and Jeffrey Dahmer's one of them. I haven't talked about Ted Bundy, kind of makes me uncomfortable, and then all school shootings and all stuff like that, I don't talk about those at all whatsoever, because that's like the lowest of the low to me, and I'm not trying to give a bigger platform to that thing that goes on, because a lot of them that do that, they want attention and everything. So I try to steer clear of things like that. But
yeah,
long-winded answer to say, yeah, I saw the show, pretty cool. I thought they did a good job. I thought they did pretty good.
So now, I feel like serial killers were very prevalent, in the the 60s, 70s, 80s. Maybe like the 90s, 2000s. I'm not. Well, it's obviously 90s, because that's whenever Dahmer was doing all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But why do you think that they were more prevalent in those times versus now, modern day?
Well, I'll tell you something that's kind of crazy. I know this is a fact. There's, at any given time, there was a study that was done by a guy that was in the FBI and stuff like that, and he released the public after he was done that at any given time there's 35 to 50 active serial killers within the United States of America. It just matters with the fact if it gets talked about enough. So when I bring that up to people, the analogy I use is take what's your favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
My man. Okay, so let's make this a lot easier. So we talk about the early 80s, we talk about the 70s and stuff like that. And the 70s and the 60s, 70s, we're seeing Dr. J doing these wild things, and it's this makes no sense. He's a wizard. I don't know. It's weird. It's something's going on here. And then going past that, we get to the 80s. Michael Jordan's, we're seeing a bounce from him that we've never seen in our life, jump wise. And at the time, it's crazy and it's wild. And nowadays, we're still seeing players like Ja Morant, LeBron, and all them doing these wild things, but we're almost desensitized to it.
Yeah.
So the thought process is, I don't know if it's so much that there's not as many today, as much as we aren't paying as much of or as heavy of attention to it. And another thing too is the one thing that I will say though is back then they did it in a lot of I would say more gruesome ways, like really trying to like be known, because that was like the big thing for a lot of them, that they wanted the attention. So like that's why you'll find like H.H. Holmes, bro, bought a mansion and kept building it and built it so it was a maze and would invite people over for dinner, and then when they got lost, then would kill them. Like that's the most movie supervillain nonsense I've ever heard in my life.
And that's like America, and put that in quotes because I'm not super educated on it, but America's first like serial killer, right?
Yep. He's considered the OG. Is that it's supposed to be H.H. Holmes?
Okay.
But he's like the OG of the whole thing. But
I just funny to call him an OG, but yeah.
But prevalence, yeah, I don't know. I like numbers wise, I don't know. I think it's the gruesomeness in which the crimes went on, and you don't hear as much about like killers eating people anymore. And that was kind of a hot thing for a cool minute, like back in the 80s, 70s, 90s, or H.H. Holmes was like the 20s, I believe, 20s, 30s, or it's super early. It might be earlier than that even, but it's really bizarre. I don't know. I'm glad that we're not hearing about that much anymore, but it's just crazy. I think Richard, because I'm in LA, and I'm pretty sure Richard was the most recent one that we had that was in this area. Actually, no, that's a lie. There was a killer that was on the loose in East LA very recently, and they just got him. But he had literally killed 4 like younger girls, but nobody's really talked about it. And that's kind of like the stem of like the point I was bringing up, because it's like nobody really talked about it, but I knew about it. So it's kind of crazy. I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question. It's really interesting. But
so
wow.
Okay, I know that you get a lot of your information off Reddit and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
I just thought about the movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. Have you seen that movie?
Fucking, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, fuck it, fuck. Yes.
Fucking top 10 movie I have ever seen in my life.
I feel like that's you. That's you in real life.
The Nightcrawler.
You're like kind of like a vigilante, but like I don't know how to explain it.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take that.
So what my point is like, okay, so you getting some of your information from Reddit, which I saw that you said that on TikTok. But like, is that where you get all of your information from?
No, which is a common misconception that a lot of my followers have for me, because the funny thing is, a lot of my videos now, I don't even get the facts from Reddit anymore.
Okay.
But I still say, and I got all these from Reddit because that's just what I've been saying the entire time. It's like a running joke at this point with everyone. But I do still get a lot of them from Reddit though at the same time. But Reddit's probably like, I use Reddit a lot just because I surf it all the time, because you'll find a lot of like forums and stuff and like kind of like backroom things that a lot of people are talking about, things that like the main like news sources and like other people might not be talking about.
Yeah.
So I love it for that perspective of things. But if I'm being completely honest, it's a lot of just general Google searching, general just looking up information and thinking of a specific topic, and then looking that topic up to see if it's happened or see how it's happened, and kind of just go from there with everything. But yeah, and a lot of it, like a lot of my videos, as weird as it sounds, is I dropped out of school, and I dropped out of school because I was, to be honest, lazy. I didn't like it at all. But when I have something that interests me, I'll remember it until the day I die. So a lot of the cases, I knew the information beforehand, and I would write out my script, and I would literally just do a quick Google search just to double check some of the information to make sure that I have it right, and then post it. So a lot of the, like, especially the more true crime based stuff, is just off my mental, and then someone read it, and a lot of it's from suggestions from like my followers and stuff, because that kind of makes them feel a little more integrated in the content and everything, so they'll actually be a part of it, and then obviously they'll get more attention and everything will go forward from that, blah blah blah, analytics, whatever.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, that's pretty much where I'm at on that one. I do use Reddit a lot though. Reddit definitely takes up at least 2 to 3 hours of my day consistently.
So you said, I know you weren't referring to the actual term or the actual place. I put this in quotes for everyone tuning in. But you've heard of the back rooms before, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so like I really don't understand what the hell it is. Can you like elaborate what the hell the back rooms is or
Yeah.
are, whatever?
Yeah. So essentially, the back rooms have kind of a few different stories. I feel like I should tell this as if I'm like making a TikTok,
Do it.
just to make it even better. Okay. All right, hold on. How would I start? Today, I'm going to tell you guys about one of the darkest places on the internet and the world itself that you may not even know about. What a hook, huh? What a hook.
Oh yeah.
What a hook, huh? But no, I'm not doing the whole thing like that. No, so essentially, the back rooms. It's I know it's kind of like it has a couple different origin stories. The one that I saw essentially was that it's a space that's almost its own dimension and it's kind of separated from space and time itself. Like you get stuck there by doing a specific thing, sometimes by accessing a specific website, sometimes by going to the wrong place at the wrong time. And you end up in these rooms and it's this endless chasm of hallways. But there's monsters, essentially monsters that are within the back rooms that will be chasing you down the entire time. There's no escape. And there'll be times where you'll find an exit, you'll find a way out, you'll crawl out, you'll see freedom and there'll be a door and it'll say exit. You'll walk through it and you'll be right back at the beginning of the back room. So essentially, once you get in, there's no way for you to get out, except in a body bag. So that's literally all that they have going on down there. It's been it kind of got. Do you know the YouTuber Corey Kenshin by any chance?
Say the name again.
Corey Kenshin.
I'm not familiar. No.
Yeah, well, him and then like Markiplier and PewDiePie and them, it kind of got popularized by them because they talked about it a few times, and obviously they have the biggest audiences.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other people too, and then there's been people that make content like me, but on YouTube that have told stories about it. Yeah, man, it's not good news. I'm very open minded. I believe there's aliens out there. I believe in spirits and all that good stuff. I don't think this one's real, to be honest. But I do think it's a really good. I think it's a really cool story. It's a fun little spooky story to have, and I think it's cool from that perspective. But that's as far as I'd be able to go with that one.
I got you. Okay, so all right, hands down, out of all of the extremely unsettling facts that you give, true crime stories, scary stories, what is your favorite? Or maybe you can just give me your favorite of each subject. Favorite extremely unsettling fact, true crime, and scary story.
I could do that for sure. I love this. I love answering questions like this. This is my favorite thing to do. Okay. I can give you one of each for sure. I can give you okay, so my favorite scary story is fake, but it's a really tight story. I know you've seen a couple of my videos. Have you seen the video of the boy that could see colors?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I'll just tell you the story because it's super quick.
Okay.
So essentially, there was a boy who developed a superpower one day, and it gave him the ability to see an aura around people. And if the color around them was red, or if the color around them was green, it meant that they were going to live a long, full, happy life. Everything's going to be good, nothing wrong. They're not going to die early or anything. If their aura around them was yellow, it meant that they were going to die before. They weren't going to die of old age. They were going to die from some complication or something was going to happen. And if it was red, it meant they were going to die very, very, very soon. So the kid would go around town and he would see all these people with like the different colors and everything. He'd see reds, he'd see yellows, he'd see greens. And at first the power kind of disturbed him, but it got to a point where he was desensitized to it. And he would just see it as a joke at this point. He would see people walk by with a red aura and he would laugh. He saw this dude with a red aura walking on the street, and moments later, he literally got hit by a car and he passed away. So he kind of was just like, oh, I know this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. He's going throughout his day and he goes to school and he's walking around the little the little quad, like the main area where all the kids are during lunch, and he sees 2 kids that have a red aura, and they have the next class with him. And he's like, "Oh, that sucks. Like, those are actually my friends. Like, that sucks. Whatever, though." And he gets into the class, and the girl that he asked out but dumped him had a red aura around her, and he thought it was hilarious, and he was super happy about it. But more and more kids started to pile into the class, and all of their aura was red, and it was very confusing because he's like, why is everyone here going to pass away so soon? And he looked in the window. You know how sometimes you can see your reflection in the window a little bit?
Yeah.
He looked in the window and he saw himself, and there was a red aura around him. And he was like, something's not right here. And then their teacher walked in, and he was holding a bag that he had never brought to school before. It's very interesting. It was weird. And the teacher's aura around him was bright green. And that's the end of the story.
Shit.
So you can kind of piece together what happens in that one.
Yeah.
You kind of piece together the teacher was not having a good day, and then it did not turn out good. But that was one of the words when I like read it for the first time, I was like, whoa, that's kind of wild.
Kind of reminds me of reminds me of like Black Mirror.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know how good of an episode that would be? Oh my, come on. Come on.
They're fucking up. They should do that. So
they just need to let me direct the season. It would be such a good season, I promise. Oh my god.
I'm gonna be a groupie. My fiance and I are gonna be groupies. Yeah. So but okay, so that was your favorite scary story. So favorite true crime and favorite extremely unsettling fact.
Favorite extremely unsettling fact. That's gonna be harder to do than the true crime one, so I'll try to get this one out of the way first. Favorite extremely unsettling fact.
And all of your extremely unsettling facts are true.
Yes. So that's the fun part.
Yes.
Probably the Russian dead hand.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, the Russian dead hand's probably my favorite one. And it was selfishly, I liked it a lot because of what it did for my page.
Yeah.
But I liked it a lot just because it was such a crazy thing to find out about. So essentially, for the listeners that aren't informed, there's a thing called the Russian dead hand that if Russia ever feels a threat of nuclear war, which probably would be from more than likely us, because in terms of like war power and stuff like that, the only people that can really challenge them would be us, or maybe like China, or that we're like the ones that can really like challenge them, like actually. So if they ever sense a nuclear threat or see something going on, or they're on the brink of losing, essentially, they have pretty much a rage quit button called the Russian dead hand, that if they click it, it sends out nuclear warheads to all these different parts of like the world, essentially. And it's pretty insane. It's kind of funny because I would like look at, there's like a map of like where all of them would go. For some reason, there's like 15 nukes going to Greenland. I don't know why. Of all places, there's like 15 going straight to Greenland, which I thought was just hilarious. But like, why Greenland at the same time? But
so okay, the only reason that I can think that is a thing now. I feel like it may be Greenland or Alaska or Iceland or something similar to those places, but I think we keep like seeds in certain areas. And does that ring a bell? You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Like
I'm listening.
So I don't really know. I'm not sure. Yeah. So we keep it X, and by we I mean I don't know if how much affiliation we as meaning the United States has with Greenland, but let's just say Greenland keeps an excess amount of seeds, for crops. So maybe that's a place where a lot of seeds are kept, and they're like, you know what, fuck your seeds. So
just destroy it.
Yeah.
My thing is, what are the odds that Vladimir Putin was just pissed off that Greenland is covered in ice, but it's called Greenland, and Iceland's covered in like greenery, but it's called Iceland.
I know.
He's just sick of it.
It's like jumbo shrimp. That's what it's like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's jumbo shrimp, but it's not jumbo. It's still shrimp.
Exactly. Right?
So what if Putin was just pissed off and he's like, you know what? We got a bunch of excess nukes. This will still take out the planet. I want to send the rest of them there just to prove a point. Just because he was angry.
Yeah, I feel like he would be the kind of guy to do that for sure.
Just because. But yeah, that's probably my favorite fact. And then my favorite true crime case. This is like choosing my favorite child. Okay. There's a few of them that are like, to me, are like, yeah, this is fire. And then there's a couple.
Just pick one, and then we'll talk about the other ones.
Okay, yeah. So it's probably Richard Ramirez, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Just because the way he got caught will forever be my. It's like the scariest thing ever because he went on for so long without anyone knowing where he was. But they got a picture of his face and they posted him on the front of a magazine. And he walked into a convenience store in East LA and he saw his picture on the front of a magazine and he freaked out and left because there was also these two older Mexican women that were in the corner and he heard them talking about him in Spanish and it freaked him out because he's like, oh wow, I have to get the hell out of here. So he went to go leave. He was running and panicked and he tried to steal a car from a woman. And just then her husband comes out of the house, beats the brakes off of him, and then Richard runs away. And he's like running. And he runs across a freeway, still in East LA, to a different part, tries to steal another car, it doesn't work out. And there's these, they don't tell you this online, but I can just say I know someone who is affiliated with this happening at the time. And there are these gang members who saw him, knew what he had done, and they chased him down and literally started jumping him. And then other people around the city or not around the city, but around the little area that were there, hopped in and started jumping this dude, and they held him down until the cops got there, and then he got caught, and then he went to prison, and then that's how he ended up getting caught, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. So I know there was, I think, two separate documentaries. There was the one specifically about Richard Ramirez, and then there was one specifically about a hotel that he would stay at, which a lot of other murderers and rapists would stay at as well, called Cecil Hotel. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is. I remember.
Yeah. So and I think they actually mentioned that in one of the other documentaries about, like, they had a group of people that were like, you know what, fuck you, we're
gonna take you out.
Yes. So yeah, that was such a fucked up thing. And he was getting, and I don't know what it is, but if you have a murderer and they go to jail, they got some women get horny for that shit, man. I'm telling you, like, they'll send them fucking mail, like, hey, like, I want to.
Hold on. Let me close this blind real quick, and I have to tell you something about that.
That is
such a my. One second.
Okay.
Okay. So that's one thing I will never understand, but I've even spoken up about that. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I've spoken about that before, right? And how I don't understand how that thought process makes sense to people. Like, these are people killing people, right? And Richard Ramirez is another one. Is that when he was in, like, his they're having his trial, there were people outside who were supporting him and hoping he got free. Granted, Richard was involved in a lot of Satanism, so a lot of people who also believed in that sort of thing were supporting him as well. So there is, I can't even give them, I guess that's where they're coming from on that. Still very, very bizarre. But so that's something I'll never get. But I actually got in a conversation with one of my followers about it. So I talk to all my followers whenever I can. Like, if I see it, like, you'll see, like, my videos the first hour, I always reply to every single comment just so I can talk to them about it. And then, yeah, it's like he was saying, like, a lot of, like, women are like, oh, they, like, glamorize and, like, sexualize, like, blah blah, like, all these killers and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't get it at all. And he DM'd me and he was basically saying like, well, for a while you did the exact same thing, and I was like, what do you mean? He was like, in the beginning, like you didn't necessarily make these killers out to be as bad as they should be, and I was like, that's interesting. That's like that's something I never thought about. So, and ever since that conversation, I made these villains look as villainous as I possibly could, because at the end of the day, these are some damn super villains. That's really what they are. So I always thought that was very interesting though, because there's people now like with the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary that just came out that are like, oh, justice for Jeffrey. I feel bad for Jeffrey and all this stuff. I'm like, are you
what?
Insane? Like he ate people. He literally turned his victims into sandwiches, which they barely showed it in the show, but this actually happened where he turned their meat into sandwiches and fed them to other people.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. And so that makes me think. Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm having a ball right now.
So now a lot of people know this just because of what I do, outside of my podcast. This is just a little hobby that I have going on. But so with my job, actually, let me rewind a little bit. So we'll take Jeffrey Dahmer.
Give me the breakdown, man.
Okay.
What's going on? Asking me all these questions. What's your job, man?
So, all right. So we'll take Jeffrey Dahmer, for example. There's yourself, you may know, a lot of other people may know as well, but like I could not tell you one person's name that Jeffrey Dahmer killed or ate. Not one person. So now, I thought that's a problem, right?
It's mighty interesting, isn't it?
Yes. So, because
interesting.
People are fascinated with serial killers. It's just a thing. That's just the world's fucked up, So, now, so I'm a manager at UPS. So I live in Dallas, Texas, and I work out here, and I have to manage drivers, making sure people are getting their packages, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, so
we love
now,
it.
So one thing that we have to do, depending on what's going on around the nation, is we'll have to use management resources, myself or anyone else, and they'll have to go to Uvalde, Texas. We'll take for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to Uvalde, Texas. I'd say I think 2 or 3 days after the mass shooting that happened at Robb Elementary, and I know you don't like to talk about this stuff. So, but
no, I don't have an issue talking about it. The only issue I have is like actually posting content about it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to give, especially when it's like fresh. Like I would barely feel comfortable like now talking about like Columbine, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I totally understand.
Exactly, because I don't want to. Because a lot of these sick fools do it for attention. And I don't want to give them that attention, especially when there's like kids involved. Columbine's like, it's been long enough. I don't even know what those two idiots are doing. They might be, I think they better still be rotting in prison. But it's like, those are those ones I just need to give it like a grace period, essentially, just because I don't want to give them like the attention. But like talking about it just in general, like here, like your show and everything, yeah, I have no problem with that. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So now I don't remember the killer's name. I have no idea. For all I can care, can fucking rot in hell. That's pretty brutal, but he deserves it. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but fuck. Anyways, so I went down there and I had to help manage the UPS facility down there, because there were some people that worked there that were directly affected by what had happened. I didn't have the opportunity to talk to these people because obviously they didn't come to work. Hence why myself and some other people had to go down there to kind of alleviate what was going on. That way they can, take care of their personal lives. So, it was super surreal going down there. Like, I
can only imagine, dude.
I had, spoke with a lot of the drivers and employees that were domiciled out of that facility, and they were doing their best to be in high spirits, and it was very cool to be. I wish it was in better circumstances, but it was very cool to be a part of like what it is that they were doing at that point in time. And the fucked up thing was, and this is very reactive versus proactive, and I've had a lot of conversations about this with a lot of other people as well. This is a whole different topic, but if I were to go to deliver to a lot of commercial areas, they would have armed guards outside of like, oh, what a burger, or the post office or something. It was insane. So I forget where I was going with this, but yeah, so it was fucked up is what it is.
So when you went into like, because you obviously you had to know prior that you would have to go to Uvalde. So when you realized like at that moment, I'm sure there had to be a moment where I was like, damn, I have to go here. What went through your mind? Because obviously that can't be like, that has to be like a thought process of like, shit, I actually have to go to this place right now after what has just happened.
Yeah. So I like, it's always one of those things where you're like, you always talk about it, but it's like, yeah, that'll never happen to me. Like, I mean, shit can fucking happen to anybody. But I can't tell you exactly what I thought, but I just do remember I was a little nervous. I don't typically get nervous about certain things because, like, so I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'8". I'm a tall.
You're 6'8"?
Yes. So it doesn't look like it in this video, but I'm a big boy. But I'm
6'2". I thought I was huge. You're 6'8".
I'm a big boy.
Did you play sports growing up or what?
Yeah, I played basketball. That's why I said, "What's my favorite sport to watch?"
Oh boy. Okay. I had to make sure. I had to make sure you weren't trying to be like Rob Gronkowski out there playing tight end or football or something like that. I had to make sure you played the right sport. Okay. Dang, you're 6'8". Where were you born?
So I was originally born in New Orleans. I moved to Tennessee in 2005 via Hurricane Katrina. So I was dislocated because of Hurricane Katrina to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I lived there from 2005 up until just about a year and a half ago. I just recently moved to Dallas, Texas, and I met my now fiance a couple of years ago, and I'm here now.
Man,
so
I don't want to take. I'm not trying to take over your show. We can get back into me whenever, but
no, you're good.
What was like, because when Katrina happened, it was 2006 or 2008? 2006.
So it was 2005, August 29th, 2005. So that was 17 years ago, I think.
Okay. How old were you when that happened?
I think I was 14, so I was a freshman in high school.
Okay. I was 5. And I remember, like, I can remember personally how heavy of a situation that was. Because we have like a couple family members over there. Everyone's absolutely fine. But when that was going on, you're 14, so you're a whole cohesive human at that point. I'm still 5, so I'll just say whatever comes in my mind at that point. You're a full cohesive decision-making human. What on earth was that situation like? Did you know beforehand, like, yo, this is gonna be something serious? We're probably gonna have to get out of here? Because I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. It's my favorite football team.
Okay, so, I see you.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm a Saints fan. It's my favorite football team. And then, like, I just know, like, as I got older, like looking back, like, because my brother's 10 years older than me, and he's a Saints fan too. So like he understood at the time, and as I got older, I understood like the heaviness and like the gravity behind like everything there. And then obviously basketball wise, the Hornets were still in New Orleans at the time.
Yeah.
So they had to play all their games in Oklahoma City. And like that's just a sports level, but like from like a family, like residential level, it's like these are people really losing their homes. So I'm really curious of like what that was actually like.
Well, I was myself and my family, we were very fortunate. We had the means of transportation, unlike a lot of other people, to be able to get out of the city. And my parents did very well as I was growing up. Like they did very well financially, and so we had the means of transportation to do things that people wouldn't be able to normally do. So so coming back, a couple of days before Katrina, we're like, we're gonna stay. That's the thing that New Orleanians do. And for no pun intended, that they want to weather the storm. So we would always stay initially. We would always stay. Yeah. So no, you're good. No, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. So
I'm having a ball right now. This is hands down the best podcast I've been on. That's why I put that out there.
Well, I appreciate that.
I've been on like 7, and the entire time it's literally just. So, how'd you get started on TikTok? Yeah, I got started because I did this, blah blah. Cool. So, what's your goal for the end of the year? Cool. And that's all it is. We're just talking. This is great. I'm having a ball right now.
Yeah, that's the whole goal. That's the whole goal of what it is that I'm doing. Just
this is sick.
So, just side note, I want to see other people succeed, and then I just fucking love it. Anyways, so back to the story. You know, we realized like days coming up to August 29th, 2005 that okay, this is probably a little bit more intense than we really kind of gathered. So
we're kind of building up until that day. You kind of tell.
Well, okay, so the days coming up to it, I can't really remember too much, but I can I remember I remember a lot of details about the day that we left. It's insane. So I remember the breakfast that I had. I remember preparing our house for the storm. I remember going to get sandbags. I remember going to get food. I remember going to get food and water for our trip to Tennessee. I remember because that's where we were going, and I remember driving down the interstate the wrong way because shit was fucked up that day. I remember only driving in the car with my mom because my dad stayed behind on hurricane watch. It was crazy. So,
jeez, bro.
But so we left the day before, and I'm gonna have to verify this, but I think we may have, and by we I'm talking about my parents. You know, I was a very dependent individual at that time, 14 years old. I can't make a lot of decisions.
I was about to say, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I want to say they made the decision to leave either the day of or the day before. I'm gonna have to verify that. Mom, if you're watching this, I don't remember what year. I'm calling you after this. I don't remember. But
what's your last name?
Brooks. Mama
Brooks. We need verification on this story.
That's right.
The preciseness.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
So I remember leaving, and then I didn't initially go back very soon, but I do remember hearing stories about my parents going back, and they just said it was different, and it hasn't been the same since.
Yeah.
And our house wasn't totally destroyed because we lived in an area a little bit outside of the city. Okay. We were still affected. Part of our roof was fucked up. You know, people around us, their houses were fucked up as well. And but we were again very fortunate to be able to get out of the city. We were able to salvage a lot of our stuff. But the fact that we still had to move because the city was so fucked up, it was fucked up, man. And so shout out to E. Buckles. He just dropped a documentary on HBO Max called Katrina Babies, and I think he's probably my age. I'm 31. I want to say he's about my age or a little bit older, but he just dropped a documentary essentially talking about the children that went through Hurricane Katrina and the psychological toll that it took on them. And it was a very good documentary. So as you know, and as everyone knows, New Orleans is predominantly a black city. You know, people are black. So, and because they talk about that as well. You remember Kanye West talking about, George Bush doesn't care about black people. Yeah. And you got fucking Dr. Evil next to him looking at him like, what are you doing right now?
He's like, we are live, sir.
Yeah. So, but he brings up a lot of hot topics on the documentary, and I thought it was fucking amazing. It was so good. And that was something that was never talked about, was, talking about the kids and how they feel about what had happened and stuff like that. And that's something that I talk to about my friends as well, is like, if you got something that you're mustering inside of your soul and you don't feel like you have someone to talk to about it, you need to find someone to talk to about it, because that could turn into something fucking terrible. So we'll take Jeffrey Dahmer, for example.
Absolutely.
terrible home life. So I mean, just saying
that led to.
Exactly. So
yeah.
But no, you are not taking over my podcast. That's not what you were doing. You're good. I love hearing you fucking talk, man. So
cool,
I appreciate.
Because I'm very much like, and my older brother will tell you the same thing, because like I said, he was 10 years older than me. So there'd be a lot of times where it's like ever since I was a kid, I was that annoying kid that didn't stop asking questions, because I get very curious about things, and I like hearing about like other people's lives and everything like that. And it's just like I if I have like a genuine interest, I'm gonna continue to ask you questions about it.
Yeah,
because I just want to know. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's pretty cool though. That's insane.
Yeah, I would not have, and you probably can't see it too much on here. I would not have. I'm not going to show the dark skin or anything like that, aka my nipple. But I would not have the city of New Orleans tattooed on my chest if it didn't mean anything to me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that question, man.
No, yeah, for sure. That's insane, bro. That's wild. That's so wild. I need to watch that documentary though. The Katrina Babies one. It's on HBO Max. You said?
Yes, HBO Max. It's called Katrina Babies.
Love
and
it.
Then I want to say, are you familiar with who Spike Lee is?
Oh yeah, come on, yeah. Oh, okay. My brother's he does YouTube stuff too, but he focuses on, he talks about basketball stuff.
Okay.
And his channel is primarily about the Knicks. So we all know how Spike Lee feels about the Knicks. Yeah. So yeah. I'm of course I do, for sure.
Okay. So he directed a documentary called When the Ladies Broke. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Okay, so it's a 2-part documentary. Hands down, out of any documentaries, and I'm very biased just because what it's about, and I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah.
It is hands down the best fucking documentary I've ever seen. It's very emotional. And I do it every year. I watch it. If it's not on the day of the anniversary of Katrina, it's generally around that time.
Yeah.
It's probably about 4 hours long, but it's so fucking good. If you get the time, you need to watch Katrina Babies and also When the Levees Broke.
I'll watch them both.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those guys that's like, I like really long content like that. So like 4 hours, like this Justice League, like Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League is like another one. It was like 5 hours and I was there the entire time having a ball.
Yeah.
Like longer stuff like that, and that's why I like documentaries. A lot of them will be like 2-3 hours long. So like stuff like that, I have no problem just sitting down and just watching it, because it's like an escape for me also. Because this seat that you see me sitting in right now is where I typically am for 10-12 hours a day. So absolutely, I'm for sure gonna check out both of them without question.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, and shout out to my mom for this, because if it wasn't for her, Mama Brooks, love you, Mama. I would not have been. I wouldn't be the person I am today without her, as well as my dad. But she was the one that kind of got me started in collecting comic books and action figures. So now, if you see this comic book behind me, for everyone tuning in, watching on YouTube or Spotify, that is the first appearance of Carnage. Again. So I started collecting comic books. I think whenever I was in 5th grade, maybe. And one thing that she would do with me is it was like she was like trying to like persuade me to come with her, so that way she can that way I can spend time with her, which is fine, whatever. She was like, hey, we're gonna go to these antique shops, I'll buy you some comic books if you come with me. And I'm like, yes, I will come with you. So and looking back, dude, I would find some fucking hitters when it came to comic books. So like, are you familiar with who Todd McFarlane is?
Of course.
Okay, so I am super excited about the new Spawn movie coming out. I can't wait till it comes out. Probably not going to be up for another 2 years or whatever. But anyways,
I have a question.
Yeah, what you got?
So the Spawn movie is coming out, right?
Okay.
Is it related? I actually don't know. Is it related to the MCU? Because I have a follow-up question.
No, it's not.
Right?
No.
Okay. So why did the MCU not fight tooth and nail to try to get the rights to Spawn before Thor: Love and Thunder came out? Because Gore the God Butcher, his whole shtick is because of Spawn. So that's why I'm like,
Oh, I can't really speak on details about that because I don't really know too much. But so Todd McFarlane owns Spawn.
Yeah,
He owns Image Comics because
as he should.
yeah, he's one of the co-founders. He created
Yeah,
it. He's also the creator of Haunt. I don't know if you're familiar with that. As
yeah.
that it's not as big, but um, why did MCU? I don't. I mean, I don't. Todd McFarlane. That Spawn is Todd McFarlane's bread and butter.
Baby.
He's not giving that shit up. So,
Yeah, I get
but
that. That makes sense though.
yeah.
That does make
So,
sense.
but I don't remember what was I saying again. I have short-term memory loss.
You're talking about Spawn, and you were saying how Spawn
Comic books, toys, Mom Brooks. Okay, so
comic books, toys, and Mama Brooks. That's what it is.
that's right. So, okay, the reason I brought up Todd McFarlane was because I remember getting one of the first books that I got while I was with my mom. I don't think I've ever told her this before, but the first famous cover that Todd McFarlane made, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the Batman covers. I don't remember the issue, but I remember getting that book at some flea market for like $1. And
What a
then,
start.
and I
What a
remember,
start.
yeah, and there is this website called the Comic Book Invest, or it's like comicbookinvestors.com. Like it's one or the other. I can't remember. I haven't looked at it in a while, but every Friday, I don't know if there's like a certain time or something, but they'll drop what's called the Hot Top 10 Comics. And it's what's trending now in the market based off of price. I remember that book popping up on there and it was like hundreds of dollars. And I'm like, fuck, I had that. And then every other week I'm looking at this website and I'm like, I used to have that. I used to have this one because I sold a lot of my comics since.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, man. And then like kind of like once I started being able to become more independent, I was like, I'm going to the comic book store and I'm getting what I want, boy. So
Absolutely.
but yeah. Anyways, I digress. So we're gonna change the subject real quick, but I love Marvel, but you know,
we could talk about that all day long if you want to. I'm right there with you.
hell yeah. So, but I want to talk about you, and I want to talk about crime because that shit's fucking crazy, and I love it. But so all right, what are your thoughts on like we'll take? I hope you've seen this documentary before. It's called "Don't Fuck with Cats." Okay, all right. So, what are your thoughts on armchair investigators, if you will, or like crowdsourcing solving crime? I don't really know exactly what you would call these people, vigilantes, if you will, about, you know, because these motherfuckers were, and if y'all don't know anything about Don't Fuck with Cats, essentially it was about, and you could probably explain it better than I can, but it was about these people that were on the internet that saw these videos of this guy killing cats, and they're like, what is this guy doing? And then it turned out to be that he fucking killed people as well. And they're like, let me do what I can do on the internet. And that, yeah. So you can probably explain that a little bit better than I can.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I love that documentary so much. I actually didn't know about it until so I have a girl space friend that I've known since I was 5 years old, 6 years old, but she's super in like the true crime things just as much as I am. And her twin brother actually told me about Don't Fuck with the Cats. I didn't know about it at the time. So I was like, oh, what's this? Got home, watched it. Craziest like thing I've seen in a while. Yeah, essentially like he explained it perfectly. It's just cat like it at the time it went on, this was like the big like grumpy cat, like cats are like, you go on YouTube to watch cat videos, cats are like the precipice, like god tier of like content, like on just in general. So like the big thing was you do not fuck with the cats. That was the whole thing. That's why they named them the documentary Don't Fuck with the Cats. And there was this dude that essentially, without spoiling too much, he did kill cats, like we said. He put 2 of them into a bag and vacuum sealed the bag, which is insane, first of all. And then all this other things happen. It goes on. We learn he kills people as well. And I don't want to spoil it because I definitely think watching it for the first time without knowing what happens towards the end is a wild experience. So I'm not going to spoil anything. I also don't want to give Netflix any free promo right now because I currently have a deal with Peacock, and we love Peacock around here.
Okay. Okay, I love it. I love it.
But yeah, it's very, very, very bizarre, and it's great. But to answer your question, my opinion on like the Armchair Warriors and all stuff like that, I think it's a necessary, not even a necessary evil. I think it's just necessary nowadays because there's a lot of like things that go on, or like especially for cold cases, because there's a lot of cold cases like they can't figure it out, they just throw it out. All right, whatever, can't figure it out, we're done. And a lot of people like will get obsessed with those cold cases and try to find a way to find like a solution for it or find like an answer for it. So I feel like it's really, really necessary to have like people that care about stuff like that because it could be helpful. Obviously, it can also be destructive in ways. So I definitely think it's almost a double-edged sword. But I don't really see much of a problem with it. It might be because a lot of people would consider me the armchair warrior leader. But I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But from that perspective, man, I think it's really cool and I think it's really tight that people, will take an interest in a lot of these cases that didn't get the justice that they deserved, and they'll try to find like answers for it. And don't fuck with the cats again. I'm not going to spoil anything, but regular people were a very, very, very large part of what went on and how things transpire throughout the movie. And I feel like it's very necessary sometimes. So that's my opinion. I feel like it's a necessary evil is the best way to put it. Double-edged sword that could go either way because obviously these are not trained detectives, and they could, if things go wrong slightly, they can end up trying to accuse the wrong person, and that could go a completely different route as well.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So, okay, good answer. I like it. And that's very interesting. I love that you got a little deal going on with Peacock. So, looking forward to seeing what you got going on with that. And I got one last thing for you, and then we're going to call it quits for today, ladies and gentlemen. But, so, I want to challenge you to see between you and myself who has the scarier laugh. We're gonna do that. So, you want me to start, or do you want to start? We're gonna get kind of good. We're gonna get kind of good. Okay, we're gonna get kind of goofy with this. Getting red. Got some red going on in the background because it's getting ready to get evil. So, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a good scary laugh person, but I got a deep voice. It can probably work. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So,
go for it, man.
Okay,
go for it. I'm ready. That was good.
Okay. Let me hear yours. It wasn't great, but it was good. Oh, you got the hand action going on. I fucked up.
I mean, come on. I could have been Thanos. That was pretty good.
Okay.